all industrial threats as a resolve not to back down from a decision to withdraw all services by the 16th of September that is set to cripple pre-tertiary education.
Over the last 7.5 years, the ministry has resolved all industrial disputes that threaten peace and security in the country.
But it gets to a stage where you must tell yourself that enough is enough. And that is where we've got into. Whatever happens about 16th September, then the duty bearers should have themselves to blame.
We have the latest. And Top Story is always brought to you by Telecel, connecting energies, holy insecticide spray and coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. It is just 3 months where major elections and government is already bracing itself for another nationwide strike that threatens to cripple education in the pre-tertiary level, while the Employment and Labour Relations Minister, Ignatius Bafwewa, has been boasting today the government has resolved all industrial actions and threats in the last 7 years. The unions, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, the National Association of Graduate Teachers, and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers Ghana are primed to prove the minister wrong over their unpaid Tier 2 arrears and delays in promotion for some of their members. Listen to the General Secretary of NAT, the biggest teacher union, Thomas Mensah.
So for 12 good months, we are talking about probably about 600 million Ghana cedis. That government, that is with the government account. The question is, anytime government is coming to pay this particular money, the 3% penalty that the law provides for, government will not honor it. So what is going to happen is that you make the Ghanaian worker worse off. Oh, our doors are opened. Our doors are opened. Our doors are open, and we are always willing to engage. But please, if we talk about for the sake of the students, what about for the sake of teachers? About for the sake of teachers. We are always with the students, and it is always because of the students that we normally have to take time and always have to wait on certain things. And when we go and they tell us, look, wait, and we are getting this thing, and we say, fine, we'll wait for you. But it gets to a stage where you must tell yourself that enough is enough. And that is where we've got into. And what we can do is that we are indicating, and we have, like we've indicated in our press statement, 16th of September should be good time enough for anybody that wants to get anything done for us, for them to get it done. Whatever happens after 16th of September, the duty bearers will have themselves to blame.
Well, the employment minister has today been responding to that, and Ignatius Bafwewa says that in the last 7 years they've resolved all industrial threats, but says, however, that he will work to meet the deadline imposed by the teachers.
Over the last 7.5 years, the ministry, with the support of key stakeholders, has resolved all industrial disputes that threaten peace and security in the country. So for me, yes, we are aware of the issues of threats of strike by university administrators, and then we are also aware of that which was contained in the press conference issued by the 3 teacher unions. I want to assure you that we will engage with them, especially with that of the 3 teacher unions on the issue of arrears of payment of Tier 2 contributions. We have had some kind of agreement with them on a roadmap to the settlement of these arrears. If for any reason any of the parties to the agreement is not living to their obligations, I will make sure that we work hard to get them to do the needful to avoid any possible strike action on that front.
Well, the minister also announced today that government is rolling out what he calls an early warning system to detect industrial threats.
Government has procured over 80 motorbikes, 4 SUVs, and 21 pickup vehicles to enhance labor administration. Through these investments, government will also strengthen the early warning systems to detect and avert industrial disputes and maintain a stable labor environment.
And there has been some payroll cleanup too that the government has been announcing today. My colleague Papania Shale joins me in the studio. We'll be hearing from the 3 teacher unions on the back of what we just heard there from the Labour and Employment Minister. But additionally, though, there has been some additional work done by the minister and the ministry in terms of payroll issues.
Yes, Evan. So the minister tells us that together with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, they did some level of auditing on the single spine payroll. And it says that in the last time they did it, they have managed to save up to 345 million cedis from the payroll monitoring and the cleanup that ended in 2023. And the monitoring is still ongoing, it tells us. But that meant that they had gone through some universities and some MMDAs where they had done this particular work. And they make sure that these people will not come back on the payroll. But emphatically, he says they've saved 345 million cedis by doing just this alone.
I want to bring in right now Angel Kabonu. He's the president of NAGRAT, is one of the 3 teacher unions who have served notice of that impending strike on the 16th of September. And Mr. Kabonu, thanks for your time here on Top Story. Listening to the minister today, he says you're aware of your threat. They will engage you. But on the subject of the pensions that you've been complaining about, says, quote, there is a roadmap that is aware that has been agreed with you. Can you clarify? Is that the case?
Well, he presided over a meeting, I think in June, when we realized that the government is reneged on its responsibility in transferring Tier 2 funds to the various trust schemes. The roadmap was supposed to have ended in August, where we should have 0 arrears. As we speak, the arrears is increased. We've gone to 12 months of non-payment of government obligation to the various trust schemes. You see, it looks as if we are toying with ourselves in this country. What it means is that if anyone retires today, the person can collect his or her benefits minus 12 months. And even when the 12 months get matured, he or she may collect that 12 months without the investment component of the money. And this is not money that money that I'm requesting from government out of the blues. This is an obligation that government ought to do every month to every public sector worker under his employment. And I wonder why we can do this to people who have served this nation all these years.
When the minister chaired that committee meeting, what was the assurance?
I stand corrected, but I think that was in May, June, yes.
Because this is not the first time you're threatening. I remember this was a major issue for you.
In fact, this is not the first time. This is about the 18th time when it has become clear that government is not paying its obligation to the various. And when we raise hue and cry, then they will release some 2 months and then they will go back to sleep. And one of my greatest disappointments is the NPRA. It is the duty of the NPRA to bring government or defaulters to book. But the NPRA is just there like a lame duck, always quiet. All that they do is to receive fees and charges, and the job that they have been mandated to do by law, they do not do. I don't know what the NPRA is up to.
Were they in this meeting the last time you had it with the minister?
No, the NPRA, I don't think the NPRA was there. But the question is, you are the regulator, for God's sake. The NPRA is the regulator. And the regulator sits there, and people violate the rules and regulations with careless abandon. And the NPRA does nothing.
The last time you met, what commitments were made, though?
So the commitment that were made was that government was going to pay up, government was going to convert some of the money into bonds. Of course, the sound of bonds in this country is like a sour grape or eating one's bile in one's mouth, because we all know what it is when we talk about government bonds in this country. The government said that they will stop the bleeding. In other words, from the time that we met, government was going to fulfill its obligation to the various trust schemes, and all that they were not doing.
Did you agree to the proposal to pay part of your pensions into bonds?
Well, that was the proposal made by government.
You agreed to that?
We expected government to make good its promise of cutting off the bleeding and show commitment that they were going to pay up and that we were not going to mount the arrears further. Because, of course, converting monies into instruments will need to have further discussions and all that.
This isn't the only reason why you've called this. You've laid this roadmap towards a strike. It also includes the laptops. I thought that was distributed some time back.
Well, let me just move from the laptop issue to other very important issues. Then I'll come back to the laptop.
I mean, why the laptop isn't important?
No, I didn't say it's not important, but there have been very huge distribution going on. We still have about, as of today, when we got the statistics, they were left with about four regions to complete. So by and large, the distribution of the laptop is going on. It's left with about 4 regions to complete. Then they'll have to do a mop-up. So for the issues of the laptop, that's why I wanted to move on to some other things.
That largely has been addressed.
Come again.
Largely, that has been addressed. The laptop challenge.
It has not been completed, but a lot of work is being done in that field.
Okay, so you've talked about the pensions. The laptops has been addressed. Which other issues there?
We were on IPPB2. Then they moved us to the Public Services Commission resource platform. When teachers were moved to the Public Services Commission Human Resource Platform, it was bedeviled with a lot of problems. Names dropping, people's ranks going down, allowances dropping and all that. We raised hue and cry. The president directed that the Ghana Education Service was put back to IPPD2. Now they've taken us back to the Human Resource Platform of the Public Services Commission. And now every day we are having problems. We are having people's names dropping off. We are having people's ranks going down. Huge problems. And then also we have a lot of issues to do with grading. That people who have gone for further studies are not being put on the right. But that we met the Ghana Education Service. We indicated to the Ghana Education Service that we are having serious challenges with the current situation that is bedeviled. As you and I speak, the last time car maintenance allowance was paid to the Ghana Education Service was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, car maintenance allowance. So as far as the Ghana Education Service was concerned, car maintenance allowance are not being paid. So does it always have to take an industrial action for people to do what they are supposed to do by law? And you can check from the GES. Call the director for finance, and ask, when was the last time car maintenance allowance was paid to teachers in this country? And he should tell you.
Car maintenance allowance, government owes you pensions, laptops still yet to be complete. a lot on the table for you, for the ministry and the government to deal with. The question always is around whether government has the capacity to afford everything you're asking with 3 months with major elections.
Well, these are not new things, Ivan. These are not new things. And I'm sure you have had discussions with me on a number of issues that we have raised in that statement severally. So why does it keep repeating itself? It means that something is wrong somewhere. I mean, look, as a government, you are supposed to pay car maintenance allowance. So if for 3 years you are not paying car maintenance allowance, something should be indicating red, telling you that you are reneging on your responsibility in an area of endeavor. And if for 3 years you continue not to pay, then there is something wrong somewhere, which is not a systemic failure, but a human intentioned failure.
On the pensions, you're owed 12 months, you say. Are you ready to negotiate around how many months government should pay you, or you want all your 12 months?
Well, you see, the moment you go negotiating around how many months government should pay, you are contributing to making a pensioner poorer. That is how complicated the situation is. Because as you and I speak today, someone is retiring. Tomorrow, another person is retiring. Next week, another person will be going on retirement. So it means that day in, day out, when monies are in arrears, you are creating discomfort. You are creating discomfort for somebody.
I see that even before the May 1 Labor Day celebrations, the teachers have come together and asked the government to pay. At that time, you put it at 1 billion CD second-tier pension
yes,
arrears.
I think that meeting was held before the May Day.
Yes, and you
now
asked,
get the date right.
Yes, you asked the government to pay up before May Day. I assume that did not happen.
It has not happened. You see? And at that time we were talking, government, the arrears was not up to 1 year. But as I talk to you now, it is 12 months.
I mean, if government could not pay 1 billion in April.
But if government could spend 1 billion, why couldn't it pay 1 billion?
I mean, it couldn't pay 1 billion in April. Now it's accumulated even more. It's certainly around 1.5 billion now we're talking about. They certainly can pay that too.
Ivan, you see, government intentionally decides not to see the true size of its purse. That is why you have the wanton recruitment of certain political activists, people who we don't know where they come from. That's why you have the bloating of the public service, because government fails to see its true side. We were in this country when we all realized the need to support education. So the government of Ghana introduced Get Fund. We were in this country where we all saw the need to support health. So we introduced the health insurance levy or tax. But at the end of the day, when we have added on, government begin to open up its stomach to absorb. As you and I speak, is the Get Fund not capped? And the percentage goes into the consolidated fund. And I tell you honestly, government is even reneged on its responsibility to pay health insurance to various service providers. So at the end of the day, and then now we introduce Tier 3. We used not to have Tier 3 in this country until President Kufuor helped to introduce Tier 3. That one too, the money comes, you don't even transfer the money to where it is supposed to go. So anytime we, the people of this country, introduce something to enhance an aspect of our society, somebody decides to open up his stomach to absorb it.
The minister says you're ready to engage. Have you received any overtures to sit and talk?
Oh, I don't know. Well, if the minister invites us, we'll go, but I don't know what the minister is going to say differently from what he said the last time. Because the last time, he was giving all the promises, but it has not worked.
So I get you. I hear you say that nothing short of 12 months arrears paid to you, or
Yeah,
you are withdrawing your.
The man who took, I was about to speak some pigeon. The man who consumed the money should pay us, because you see, we are dealing with the most vulnerable group of people in this country. People who have retired at the age of 60. The only people who can speak for them is the unions that they have contributed to throughout their working lives. At least you and I are working and we are receiving some monthly salary. What about those who are on retirement and are on pension?
It's a nationwide strike by all of you at the same time, and this is coordinated. Yourself, not on this. We'll cripple pre-tertiary education.
Even this issue of the Tier 2 is been issued by, this statement has been issued by the teacher union. I will not be surprised if the entirety of organized labor takes it up and make it an organized labor fight. Because as it is affecting education, it is also affecting health, it is also affecting CLOSAC, it is also affecting all public service groups. So once they did not pay education, I can assure you, they've also not paid for health. They've also not paid for civil servants. So I will not be surprised if the entirety of organized labor decides to take this matter up.
Angel Kabono, thank you very much. He's the president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers. Also today, we've been hearing from SNIT, the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, says it is still pursuing options to divest barred and underperforming assets. This is coming just weeks after labor unions, through threats and agitations, forced the trust to abort advanced plans to sell off a 60% stake in some 4 hotels belonging to the trust. Addressing the media, the Minister of Information, the Director General of SNIT, Kofi Posempemi Osafo-Marfo, says that there is the need for continuous evaluation of assets belonging to SNIT to inform decision-making.
In fact, a previous report said SNIT will be out of business in 2025. We are still here. One report said that we'll be out of business in 2034. The next one is 2036. That is what the last one said, and appeared to cause a lot of alarm. Let me make these few points. SNIT has never defaulted on pension payments, and I am very confident that SNIT will be around long after I am gone. We did show a surplus in 2022. In 2023, the provisional figures indicate that the surplus that we will show will be much larger than the surplus in 2022, which we indicated at the Public Accounts Committee.
You have another one on the divestiture.
On the divestiture, I think the key point is as follows. If you were running a shop, would you always have the same goods in the shop? The answer is no. Likewise, we run a portfolio. At any time, we would change some of the assets we hold. So it should not be a surprise that if we look at our portfolio and there are some assets that are underperforming, we would look to correct that. That is what the sale of a stake in our hotels was about. And all we are looking to do is to improve the performance of the underlying portfolio. And that is really it.
I know the organized labor, they have a significant stake in this, as the SNIT does the evaluations that the chief executive is talking about before they take any action. The workers part of the considerations currently happening? You know, they have representation on the SNIT board themselves. I want to bring in the chairman of the Trade Union Congress, is Bernard Owusu, recently elected. Abraham Kumsin is the Secretary General of the Ghana Federation of Labour. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time here on Top Story. Mr. Bernard Owusu, congratulations are in order. I heard you recently give it that address when you were elected. Can you hear me, Mr. Owusu? I may have lost him. What about Abraham Kumsin? He's also gone. Hello, Mr. Kumsin, can you hear me?
Hey, man,
oh, great! Fantastic to have you. I mean, you had the chief executive there, of SNIT, talking to us about their plans, and that if an asset is not performing, you have to look at what to do with it. The director general was making that point a short while ago. That's a fair point, is it? And that's that. He places it within the broader context of why they wanted to sell off the hotels, and it is something that they are actively still considering in terms of the best options to get SNIT back to profitability.
But these guys, I don't know what they are up to, because they requested the ILO, the International Labour Organization, to help them assess the performance of SNIT and advise. ILO just didn't write to them. They made a request that they should help them. So they used their actuarial science department to do some evaluations for them. And that is how come they realize that, look, if SNIT does not, reorganize itself well, the scheme will collapse. So I heard him say, the predictions were that 2026 or something, the SNIT will collapse, 2020 something, but still they are in business. That's okay. ILO did not just on their own just wrote something to them. They asked them to help them. That's the work that they did. And they realized that, look, if SNIT does not structure themselves, the scheme will collapse. So if you're saying that, we have survived, so why did they attempt to sell that hotel? Why did they do that?
To continue to remain viable, not only as SNIT, but also the various assets that they have stakes in.
No. They are not making losses. These hotels are not making losses. But even the fact that even the president himself, His Excellency himself, showed interest in it, that's what baffles us. Because why? As the head of state, why? He was so peeved. He was annoyed to the extent that he was blaming the unions for embarking on that so unnecessary.
Yes.
What is that? Why should the president behave the way he behaved? What interest is he, as the president, have in this whole thing? He should have rather called these SNIT guys to order, but not to attack the unions. What does he mean by that? It's only in this country that the head of state will behave the way he behaved. I'm telling you. But why? Look, if you go to Aluwex, SNIT owns about 60% shares in Aluwex. Go and see what is happening there. That company closed down about, I think, 2022 or 2020. Why don't they find an investor to even take over that place?
And you raise an important point. I want to put to Bernard Owusu, who is the newly elected chairman of the Trade Union Congress. Mr. Owusu, thanks for your time. You're on Top Story.
Thank you for having me.
And after you fought and won this fight to stop the sale of the 4 hotels, the big question still remains: if SNIT is right that the hotels, the majority of them, aren't performing and bleeding, you need to find a way to stop that bleeding somehow. The fact that you stopped the sale hasn't stopped the bleeding. He's telling us that they're still weighing up the options and they have to make a decision. How involved are you in that process?
The union's position is clear. We've asked them to halt it. The union is engaging SNIT, and we are talking. So we are even surprised he's coming out to even say that they are going ahead to explore options to sort of get the sales on. But our position is clear.
Yeah, your position is clear, yes, but the solution must be found. And you have what are you proposing? What is the alternative, though?
Well, we are still engaging them, and at the right time, we'll come out with a position that we think that it will be suitable for SNIT. But as of now, we are still engaging them.
I mean, it's been quite a bit of time has elapsed since the sale was terminated, and even before that, you've been fighting this for a while. You have representation on the board. It doesn't sound to me like it's good enough, is it? That you still don't have an alternative for SNIT to consider?
Well, there are alternatives, but we still have to engage them, and we are engaging them. Once we are done, we'll come out publicly with a position.
At the board level, you have a strong representation. You haven't already channeled your alternatives to the board?
There has been a decision, and the decision of the organized labor is states have to halt these sales, and we are engaging them to come out with a solution, and that is what the position is as we speak.
In terms of the Labour front, though, and because you are the newly elected chairman, we have 3 months to go. Some of your members are complaining. Just a short while ago, we've been talking about pension, tier 3 pensions that have not been released yet. 322 unions are talking about this. In fact, Angel Kabunu Nenagrat, president, says organized labor will have to take this matter up because it's not only affecting the teacher unions, it's affecting all workers. What's the position of TUC on this?
Currently, as we speak, we know there are issues concerning what you call arrears of payment of tier 2, the pensions, and whatever have you. And as we speak, there is a committee that is in place looking at it. And as a union, we will ensure that SNIT do the right thing. And we will not allow SNIT to sort of mismanage the funds as is being done, and I think that we will ensure that the right thing is done respectfully.
Thank you very much. That there is the newly elected chairman of the Trade Union Congress, Bernard Owusu. Earlier, you were listening to Abraham Kumsing. He's the Secretary General of the Ghana Federation of Labour. I want to hear from you on that. 05511 News Night starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. We are just a day away from the Joy News National Dialogue on defending media freedom ahead of the December polls. Tonight, the Bank of Ghana is debunking claims of some $20 million cash transfer through the back door, claiming it's a part of a long-standing arrangement between Ghana and Liberia. We have details of statements from the central banks of Liberia and Ghana, which insist the publication first put out by the North Tongue MP is laced with mischief. Also tonight, Ministry of Finance in a desperate plea for the Finance Committee of Parliament to approve a 500 million cedi drawdown from Ghana's contingency fund to support government effort to mitigate a looming food crisis and national security threat.
That's about 2.5 billion Ghana cedis. This is largely coming from the contingency fund, which our constitution established. And so we intend to trigger the processes for accessing the contingency fund.
We'll get to hear from the Peasant Farmers Association, who are already accusing government of no consultation in the move to marshal support for the farmers.
A support for the farmers, the input support and then the cash support. I think that we will need to have a very transparent system to ensure that the system or the approach is not compromised.
And also tonight's tempers flare in Parliament as chairman of Assurances Committee clashed with Minister for Works and Housing over efforts to resettle victims of the Akonsombo Dam spillage.
After I expose the government. Chairman, can I speak? Can I speak?
Of course you can speak. But if
I am the chairman of this committee, yes, and I will regulate this meeting.
We have details as Kojo Ponkroma accused Okujeto Ablako of using the committee as a bully pulpit to make unfounded accusations against ministers and the government.
You intend to use your committee as a bully pulpit to invite ministers and make these accusations and not give them an opportunity to answer.
You will be well advised. I will not take that. To suggest that I am using this position as a bully pulpit, you have to retract that.
In business, total value of loans granted by banks and savings and loans for second quarter with support from the collateral registry increased significantly to reach almost 11 billion Ghana cedis.
And the sports group petitions the special prosecutor to investigate the over $240 million spent on the African Games by the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
And it's a few months to the end of President Akufo-Addo's tenure, and the National Cathedral site is fallow, while the promise he made to God remains in limbo. Tonight, we'll get to hear from the leaders of the two main political parties on what they would do about it.
one should have an engagement with the churches and all the stakeholders for us to see how best to get the funding to complete the project.
I don't condone stealing in the name of God. And so first, let's investigate. And if people have unlawfully taken the monies of the people of Ghana, they must be made to refund.
And then later we'll get to hear why Archbishop Duncan Williams resigned from the board. That and more in tonight's edition of Newsnight. If you want to join us with your thoughts, your comments via WhatsApp is 055-1111-997. We are live on X Spaces. We're on myjoyonline.com. Also on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. I am Emefa Apawu.
And my name is Evan Spencer. Details after this.
Everybody likes money, but what do we like more than money? More money! Join the Telecel More Money promo and win money, more money, and even more money. Simply opt in for free and reload your mobile and broadband and be the lucky winner of the 1 million Ghana cedis grand prize. Also win cash prizes of up to 3 million Ghana cedis in the daily and weekly draws. Opt in for free by dialing *500# or send WIN to 500, or you can opt in on the Telecel Play app. The more you reload, the higher chances of winning in the Telecel More Money promo. Keep loading, win, and be a millionaire.
Telecel. Connecting energies.
Terms and conditions apply. This promo is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears. Bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Dana kron kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, my name is Mami Akua, an entrepreneur and a mother of two. My work keeps me busy most of the time, and sometimes it takes me away from my family. But the safety and health of my family is very important to me. As a working mother, I cannot afford to take any chances when it comes to matters of health. That is why I signed up for a family healthcare plan from Equity Health Insurance. My family and I have access to over 700 hospitals, clinics, opticians, dentists, pharmacies, and diagnostic centers across the length and breadth of Ghana. With Equity Health Insurance, I no longer have to worry about medical bills. Anytime a member of my family visits a hospital, Equity Health Insurance has got my family and I covered. What about you? Who has got you covered?
Call Equity Health Insurance on 050-660-7910 and talk to them about your family health needs now. Visit equityhealthinsurance.com for more information. Equity Health Insurance, here for you.
Hello. It's that time of the year again. The Ghana Fruit and Vegetable Fair is about to hit Accra. The horticulture business platform, in collaboration with IDH and Ghana Vegetables, with funding support from the Royal Netherlands Embassy, presents the 8th Ghana Fruit and Vegetable Fair 2024. Register to exhibit if you're a farmer, an agro-input supplier, an exporter, or a distributor of fresh fruit and vegetable, or looking forward to connect with the right vegetable actors and stakeholders along the horticultural value chain. Then be at this year's 8th Ghana Fruit and Vegetable Fair, happening at the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park from 5th to 7th of September 2024 from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day. Theme: working together, taking horticulture to the next level. Other partners include the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Green Label Ghana Foundation, Eden Tree, Abuke Cuisine, Maflix Trust Ghana Limited, and Vegetable Producers and Exporters Association of Ghana. Come and patronize fresh fruits and vegetables for good health and well-being. Attendance is free. See you there.
Thanks for staying with us here on Newsnight on Joy 99.7 FM. And Evans, tonight there's a development, at least started by the chairman of Assurances Committee of Parliament, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, and also the North Tongue MP. On his social media platform earlier, he posted he put up a post on some 20 million cash, which arrived in Ghana via the Kotoka International Airport this afternoon. $20 million in cash, which arrived in Ghana via the Kotoka International Airport this afternoon. So portions of this particular statement he put out on social media says the cash has since been cleared by officials of the Bank of Ghana, and that the Bank of Ghana must offer explanations on why supporting documents are not consistent with the content of its August 21, 2024 letter to custom and airport officials seeking to clear the uncirculated banknotes. Now, it continues to say that even though the Bank of Ghana claims the money was ordered by the Central Bank of Liberia, and that the cash will be re-exported to Monrovia whenever there is an available flight, other intercepted documents, including an airway bill, indicate emphatically that the consignee is the Bank of Ghana and not the Central Bank of Liberia. And he goes on to say, my international partners and I will keep tracking this $20 million cash from London to confirm if indeed the fresh banknotes will be transferred to Liberia, when the transfer will be carried out, and if the full amount will be transferred. And as usual, he asks for God and country, and then posts the documents that he talks about, which is exactly...
In the last few minutes, though, the Bank of Ghana and the Central Bank of Liberia both issued separate statements on this particular matter, clarifying a few things. One, for the Bank of Ghana, they say that for the abundance of doubt, this is something that happens. It's a regular transaction, and that it's a long-standing currency transfer arrangement with the Central Bank of Liberia, and this has been happening since 2004, apparently, the Bank of Ghana is telling us, and that per this particular arrangement, the Bank of Ghana receives imported currency on behalf of the Central Bank of Liberia for re-export to Monrovia. Now, the Bank of Ghana also clarifies that the uncirculated banknotes mentioned in Okudita Blakwa's post are part of this long-standing arrangement. They clarify again that when all logistical arrangements, including scheduled flights, are finalized, these will be re-exported to the Central Bank of Liberia. Now, they also raise issues about the administrative processes and security protocols, and they call out some Okudita Blakwa on this, and they claim that because all relevant stakeholders are officially informed of the entry and exit of the consignments related to this particular arrangement, that unless there is mischief intended, there was no reason for this matter to have become an issue for public discussion. This is the Bank of Ghana now raising issues with the way the Member of Parliament had raised the matter on social media. Now, they also raised the sensitivity of this particular matter, and that it has security implications. And it's the reason why they describe the posts as, quote, unfortunate that, quote, a lawmaker will circulate such sensitive procedural and administrative clearance letter involving another sovereign nation in a bid to misinform and disinform the public and attach a narrative that seeks to suggest some wrongdoing on the part of the Bank of Ghana. Now, the Bank of Ghana also clarifies that the arrangement between the Bank of Ghana and the Central Bank of Liberia signifies a mutual trust between the two countries and a testament to the strong bond of friendship between Accra and Monrovia, and that the Central Bank, our Central Bank, has one of the most sophisticated state-of-the-art currency management operations within the sub-region, and that's why the Central Bank of Liberia relies on us for this particular sort of transaction, and that they will continue to uphold their reputation as a reliable and trustworthy institution in all its international and domestic arrangements in currency management. And then there's a separate statement also from the
Central Bank of Liberia as well.
What is it that you're
it's
saying?
Also dated
Are they supporting
today.
This?
Okay, so I would want to read verbatim what the Central Bank of Liberia is also saying. They said the Central Bank of Liberia clarifies media report that a $20 million cash importation consigned to the Bank of Ghana destined for Liberia is a legitimate transaction. They say the importation of United States dollars is part of the bank's normal function, which is required to meet the needs of the economy, including the USD withdrawal demands and needs of the government of Liberia and the commercial banks. While CBL and the Bank of Ghana have long-standing cash custody agreement executed for the BOG to provide overnight custody for CBL, imported cash, when shipped from London by Travelex Currency, which is an international currency shipment company. It goes on to say these cash shipments by flight are cleared through both the Ghana and Liberia customs, thus validating their legitimate sources. So the CBO once again emphasizes its commitment to transparency and accountability and encourages the media to always reach out to the bank to verify any information about the bank's operation before publication. But you know, there are questions also that were raised by the North Tongue MP about the consignee being the Bank of Ghana and not the Central Bank of Liberia, amongst others. But these two statements have been issued after that particular post from the North Tongue MP. And at the last check, he was chairing the Assurances Committee in Parliament, and we're working the lines to see if we can bring in the North Tongue MP, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, on these two statements, separate statements issued by the Bank of Ghana, clarifying that post that he put on social media, plus that of what we're seeing from the Central Bank of Liberia.
And that's something that we're following very closely. We get to some clarity at the business desk. You're working your sources at the Central Bank to get a bit more on this also. Talking about Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, by the way, he has been today chairing the Assurances Committee work, and tempers have been flaring today on that committee, sitting when chairman of the committee, Mr. Ablakwa, clashed with the Minister for Works and Housing, Kojo Nkrumah. Mr. Ablakwa was questioning the minister on what he said was a poor attitude the government has shown towards dealing with suffering of persons displaced by the spillage of their Kosomo Dam. But Kojo Nkrumah fought back, insisting that was not the case, leaving the two speaking at each other and calling each other out.
Matter that we reduce to political football, deflection, obfuscation, red herrings, as you are trying to do today. It's been a year. People are living in distress. People are devastated. Fellow citizens, your contractors, after their late arrival, are even behind schedule. You are now looking at some 14-day window to go to the site. Clearly, we are not impressed. When will the first set of houses be ready? And when can we see a change in attitude? When can this committee see your ministry, your government, prioritizing the plight of victims of the VRA spillage?
Chairman, I think we should also move away from this, may I say, posture, where we want to create the impression that some persons care and some persons don't care. You introduced the word sincerity.
Yes.
Into this conversation.
Yes.
If we are being sincere, you have been one of the persons who keeps whipping up this impression that somebody doesn't care. You will recall that when the military on ground was asked to move from one location to another as part of the exercise, you came out saying that the military had been asked to withdraw from the place.
I'm glad that you have introduced that.
Chairman, that was not sincere.
I am glad that you have introduced that matter.
Yes.
What your government did, what the commander-in-chief asked them to do, was rather the insincerity. They were moving out. The commander told me, I was there, the
Chairman,
chief and your former
Chairman,
colleagues.
That is not correct.
We will not have a banter here.
That is not correct.
But for the record, and this is my committee. You don't come here and dictate. I'm the chair of this committee.
You have asked me a question, and I'm responding.
And
you
on the matter,
the word insincerity. I'm respectfully submitting to you that when you announced the whole republic that the military had been asked to withdraw from the Volta region, Chairman, that was insincere, because the military had not been asked to withdraw from the entire Volta region. They had been asked to move from one place to the other. And that wasn't sincere.
I am putting it to you.
And
that,
I think,
that
Chairman,
was an afterthought. After I
exposed
the government.
Chairman,
can I speak?
Can I speak? Of course you can speak. But if
I
you ask a
am
question,
the chairman of this committee, and I will regulate this meeting.
You have the right to. But if you put out a word that
on the matter,
I will respond, Chairman.
On the matter of sincerity, I know what you are doing. You are trying to deflect. We will come back to housing. On the matter of the soldiers were moving out. They had packed and were leaving. I was with the TV3 crew. Talk to TV3. They broke the news. They spoke to the commanders. It was an afterthought. After there was an uproar, then the military PR put out a statement that they were moving to another location.
Can I respond?
So
Can I respond?
As a matter of fact.
Can I respond?
They were moving out. The military movement is not the subject of this discussion.
You have introduced the term insincerity.
It is your government
Chairman,
that has been insincere.
Can I respond, Chairman?
Their response was insincere.
Can I respond, Chairman?
The soldiers were moving out. I was on the tour with TV3. They saw them moving out. They had packed bag and baggage and were moving out. The commanders on the floor that day told us that they were moving out. And I condemned that. And they did a U-turn and came back to that same location. If they were moving to another place, why didn't they go to wherever you say they were going to? They came back.
Can I respond?
You will respond when it is time for you to respond.
Parliamentary correspondent Kweku Asante joins us now. So, Kweku, did he respond?
Well, he did. Kojo Ponkrumah sought to make his point and, in fact, accused the chairman of using the platform of the Assurance Committee as a bully pulpit, at which he accuses government of various inactions and actions and not giving them the right opportunity to respond.
We have to have a right to respond to those accusations that you have made. You earlier accused us of insincerity. And I suggested to you that, with great respect, without a challenge to the fact that you are chairman of this committee and that this is a committee of parliament, I mentioned to you earlier that there's work that is ongoing. Within 14 days, the regional minister and myself will be back on the ground. This will not be the first time. We'll be back on the ground to engage with the contractors and make a determination of why they are behind schedule and when they will complete. And when that is done, I'll be able to ferry to this committee updated timelines of when they will be complete. But, Chairman, I'm saying to you that if you introduce the concept of insincerity, of playing partisan football, of deflecting and introducing red herrings, it is respectfully within my right to also draw your attention to instances where I am of the view you have done same. But I don't think that that is what we are here to do for the benefit of the Ghanaian people. For the people in these areas, the number one interest that they have is that we complete these projects on time for people to benefit. But if you choose, Chairman, respectfully, to accuse me before the whole country of playing partisan football, not being sincere, of deflecting and of introducing red herrings, then I have a right in my own defense to draw your attention to instances where I believe you have done same. I don't think that's what we are here to do. Specific on this matter, within 14 days, myself and the regional minister will be on ground once again. We will engage with the contractors. We will have clearer timelines, which I will share with you. If we want to go into the questions of parliamentary football and deflection, I don't think that you intend to use your committee as a bully pulpit to invite ministers and make these accusations and not give them an opportunity to answer.
You will be well advised. I will not take that. To suggest that I am using this position as a bully pulpit, you have to retract that, because that is not what I'm doing here.
So,
I
Chairman,
am well within my standing orders. You have to retract that.
Chairman,
you must retract and apologize for that statement.
But it is okay. It is okay for the chairman of the committee and the committee to accuse the minister of being insincere, of deflecting without more, and I do not have the right to answer or to say that I share a different view.
So you think that it is okay that for a whole year, fellow citizens are living in a tent?
We can have a conversation
you
about
think
that,
it is
Chairman.
fine?
Chairman,
you think that is the best as leaders? We are all leaders.
That's a conversation we can have.
You think that is the best we can do for our people?
No, Chairman, that's not it. That's a conversation we can have, and I think we've legitimately gone through that. But if you choose to accuse me of insincerity, of introducing red herrings, of deflecting, that is not about the people. That is you accusing me.
Of course, because we are
but
not...
if you are accusing me, I must have a right to respond.
You are introducing matters that are not before us, matters that you have your facts totally wrong.
Which matters are these?
The movement of the soldiers, you have... That was not before us. You introduced that.
I have fact... No,
are we discussing soldiers here?
You introduced
Are we discussing soldiers?
Kweku, how was this resolved?
Well, at that point, the tempers were fled and the MPs were literally shouting at each other. It was suggested that they take a 5-minute break, and after that 5-minute break, the MPs came back together with the minister, had gone into one of the small rooms around the committee building, calmed tensions, and then came on to continue with the sitting. And that matter did not come up again until the roads minister himself took his turn, which just ended about 5 minutes ago.
And Kojo Ponkuma did not retract and apologize, did he?
No, he did not.
We can speak now to the chairman of the Assurances Committee, Samuel Kudita Blakwa.
This matter, and then also on our very first story that we've been talking about. Mr. Blakwa, we are grateful for your time here on Newsline. Maybe before we get into the BOG's responses to this, I'm curious about what transpired today at the Assurances Committee. Is there a particular action that will be taken going forward? How exactly are we hoping to resolve this particular situation between yourself and the Works and Housing Ministry?
Well, good evening. It's nothing personal. We have to do our work, and the Assurances Committee under Standing Order 225 is to follow up on assurances made on the floor. We're talking about a national disaster of monumental proportions. As I put to the minister, 1,360 people are living in tents as we speak. And this government has not constructed a single one-room building to take care of fellow citizens who are taxpayers, who have equal rights, who are bona fides. And the minister thought that he could just obfuscate, dance around issues. I mean, you don't do that before the Assurances Committee. Our mandate is to pursue assurances made on the floor. You are very late. You have missed all your deadlines, all the assurances given. There is no sense of urgency on the part of government to resolve these matters and to bring relief to our fellow citizens. And that is what the committee was concerned about. So our report to plenary is going to be very clear. Our committee is not impressed with government's response and with the posture of the Minister for Works and Housing. And we're going to have a debate on the floor about this matter. Okay. And our committee will ask for a new approach, a new attitude, a new response from government.
But to the extent that, Mr. Blakwa, we saw what happened when the health minister also appeared before the committee. Also, he had some similar concerns. To the extent that some of these issues that the Assurances Committee is having to deal with are issues that you personally championed. And, of course, you may have some emotional attachments to these issues. No?
There's absolutely nothing in our standing orders that prevent a member of parliament who's championed issues, who has attachments. Actually, it puts you even in a much better place. And that is why this Assurances Committee makes sure that MPs who have raised matters, who have filed questions, and ministers have to appear before the Assurances Committee, we invite those MPs so that we can verify, we can validate, we can be sure that what the ministers are telling us, because it's the MPs who are on the ground, they know their constituencies. So it helps for MPs who know about the situation. I mean, if we didn't have me chairing this committee or MPs from affected constituencies, so far as this disaster, the spillage from the Akosombo Dam is concerned, I mean, the minister will really have gotten away, and the people will still be languishing.
But the difference, some would say, is the fact that you are the chairman of this particular committee, more so appearing to be the judge in your own cause.
The question that we should be asking, is it fair? In less than 2 weeks will be the first anniversary of this disaster. We, MP and partners, corporate Ghana, NGOs, individuals, were able to build houses in 7 weeks. 7 weeks. We don't collect taxes. We don't have national resources. We did that in 7 weeks. The First Sky Group, the MP and partners. How can a whole government, a year, people are living in tents, and ministers think that this is a matter we should take lightly, and we should, I mean, the whole posture, totally wrong. I mean, already your response is so late, your contractors arrive, they have missed deadlines, and then you're telling us within the next 14 days you hope to, and he was being evasive. They didn't want to speak to the lack of urgency, the poor response. I mean, we are not going to take that at this committee. We will not accept that.
Away from that, also, at least, this is an issue that we'll still be following because the Assurances Committee will be sitting further on this. But about your earlier post this afternoon on social media about this $20 million in cash in terms of the transfer through Kotoka International Airport, you had cause to raise concerns about the BOG and some concerns about consignee, amongst others. We are getting statements tonight from the Bank of Ghana as well as the Central Bank of Liberia. Both statements seeks to clarify that there's a long-standing cash custody agreement where the BOG provides overnight custody for CBL when shipped from London by Travelex Currency. They also go on to mention, at least from the BOG's part, that relevant stakeholders are officially informed about this. You must be a relevant stakeholder. Are you not aware about this particular arrangement? They detect mischief actually in the publication.
So, to answer your question directly, I'm not one of the stakeholders that these letters were copied to. And you can check with Parliament and with MPs. We have not been copied these letters. Now, it is important to state that the concerns raised had to do with the way and manner this particular transaction was carried out. Insiders were concerned about the inconsistency with the supporting documents. And if you pay regard to the way bill that I published from my unimpeachable sources, you see the discrepancy. The way bill and other supporting documents did not align with the August 21, 2024 letter from the BOG. And that is why I raised questions. I indicated that I was tracking. Note that I didn't pass any conclusive judgment. I said that I was tracking, I was monitoring. Indeed, the figure that I put out, initially there were attempts to question that figure. I saw the President's Council write on social media that how do I know about the amount. Now the Central Bank of Liberia has confirmed that indeed my figure was accurate. The $20 million I put out is accurate. And now that we have these clarifications, because I did indicate that we are monitoring, we are going to make sure that there are no diversions. And it's part of our work as members of Parliament to carry out oversight, to let all institutions know that we are on top of our job, we are watching, we are keenly monitoring, and we are carrying out oversight. So,
well, a few questions, key questions, Mr. Ablakwa. You are a member of Parliament, long-standing also a committee member of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament. If you were actually seeking clarity on this when you got this information, considering that Liberia and other countries involved, was social media the way to go to be able to get to that clarity you're looking for?
Definitely. Social media is a very key medium. Just like traditional media, you want everybody who is part of this to know that there is a monitoring process and that members of Parliament are carrying out their oversight and they are watching. It's exactly the objective you want to achieve by using social media, and that is why I did what I did. And I always put out the relevant documentation, so nobody can say that this was just a figment of my imagination or I was concocting. I mean, here we are. We have a confirmation of the figure. We have certain clarifications that are coming up, and it's all good. It's all well and good, and we'll continue to monitor. We'll continue to carry out our oversight.
It's not about the issue of concocting per se is the concern. The issue about putting out flight details, considering that it involves another country, Liberia, also Ghana, and the fact that it raises national security concerns is the concern.
These flight details were not put out by me. They put out those details in their documents. In my write-up, I didn't put out any flight details. And there have been no flight details on the re-exportation as and when that re-exportation will be carried out. We are carrying out our mandate. It's pure oversight, and I do not see the national security breach in this matter.
But this document you talk about, Mr. Ablakwa, was not put out by the BOG in the public domain. You actually did.
And so how does that constitute a breach of national security?
I mean, considering that there's $20 million involved here that needs to be transferred to another country, there are serious security concerns in the transfer of that particular amount. The BOG in this statement talks about the sensitivity of this, considering that you have another country's currency in Ghana's custody.
So we are suggesting that we don't have money in Ghana. The BOG doesn't keep money. I really don't get all of this red herring. And how does that compromise? Are we saying that we should not pursue transparency? We should not hold institutions accountable, particularly when we have serious concerns, when documentations are not aligning, when current documentations differ from previous.
But is social media the tool to use to hold the BOG accountable, considering the sensitive nature of the matter we're talking about?
I do not. These are matters of opinion. I do not share those opinions, and I do not see any breach in national security. I don't see. I mean, how has this publication jeopardized? Have the funds been lost? I mean, I really don't get these bizarre claims of national security. Look, everybody will have to be accountable. And as public officials, we are not above scrutiny. We are not above transparent mechanisms to ensure that we are accountable when there are serious matters of concern.
We get the accountability part you talk about, but considering the fact that the arrangement or the agreement between the two countries is an overnight custody and they will have to ship the money back maybe tomorrow, and we put our flight details and all the details about it, you see it doesn't jeopardize it at all. In hindsight, do you think that this is the way you should have gone?
It appears to me you have not read the publication, the documents. Those flight details out there are flight details of a flight that has already arrived. Nobody has put out flight details of an outstanding flight, of a re-exportation that will or may occur. Nobody has done that. So I don't see the red herring here. Look, at the end of the day, in an era where we are having increased cases of money laundering, increased cases of terrorist financing, talk to the National Security Minister. These are matters that have been presented to us in Parliament. We all must be on the alert. We all must be concerned. And we are carrying out our mandate, our constitutional mandate of oversight. That is exactly what we are doing. We haven't put out any flight details of a future flight or an imminent flight. Nothing has been done. And indeed, I made sure that these matters had been concluded, they had cleared the funds, and they were not in transit when I raised the legitimate questions which I raised.
So the explanation that both central banks have given so far to the concerns that you raised, the questions that you raised, does it suffice?
It will appear satisfactory at this point, but we will keep monitoring. We have systems in place to.
Well, we'll leave it here, but you disagree that any harm has been caused by your publication?
We may have lost him there, but that there is Samuel Kudita Black. I want to hear your thoughts on this 205511119997, and George Rafi is here with business. And George, this is something that the Bank of Ghana was quick to jump on and get some clarity out there immediately.
And I am worried about, we are not talking about the outbound flight, but even for people knowing that monies are brought in on a commercial flight, you know the implications. Flights are hijacked all over the world. People seeking money. Now I know that beneath that aircraft, monies could be there being brought into the country.
So if you're on that flight, imagine you're on a flight now, you're like, oh my goodness, there was $20 million
underground staff that work on all these
arrived
things,
in Ghana and shot while a Emefa Power sitting on the flight, probably cooling off,
in a case?
not knowing I had $20 million in the flight somewhere. I like movies.
The money
movies
make real situations.
Money heist movies. This is the kind of thing that the guys.
Watch too many movies.
You don't know what somebody will even do
to know about.
To take $1,000 from your luggage or even $500 from your luggage. then you know that an aircraft always brings in this amount of money for another country with a flight number and everything.
Well, George, what else do you have the headlines?
Well, coming up, total value of loans granted by banks and savings and loans for second quarter with support from the collateral registry increased significantly to reach almost 11 billion Ghana cedis. And energy analyst Dr. Yusuf Suleiman describes strong growth of oil marketing firm Star as good for the industry, insisting it demonstrates that price could be a major factor. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business.
The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Sharp! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information. We are good together everywhere you go.
Hooray! Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited's back-to-school promotion is here with us once again. From August to September this year, Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited is giving a generous 10 to 20% discount on all school items like textbooks, pens, pencils, erasers, exercise books, and much more across all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Takrade, Winneba, and Cape Coast. Parents, teachers, and students, please hurry while stocks last. For more information, call us on 0506 487 557 or 0302 764 209 or via email at info@kingdomgh.com. You can also visit our website www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Kingdom Books, where quality and affordability are both assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Supposed to happen when we find the reason.
Yeah. We have a new leader in town. Obiarenti. Amanfo. Madam was Sibebre. When him say my baby, maybe mamu more charcoal for whiter teeth. More charcoal. Not only that, maybe mamu lemon. More lemon. Zinc for fresher breath. More zinc. And fluoride for stronger teeth.
Introducing the new President Charcoal pack with more power with a combination of charcoal and lemon for naturally whiter teeth. Grab yours now. This advert is FDA approved.
Are you ready to turn your dreams into reality? Don't just dream it, own it with a loan from Fidelity Bank. Dreaming of a new home? Own it with Fidelity Mortgage Loan. Dreaming of smelling the scent of a brand new tear rubber car? Own it with Fidelity Auto Loan. Dreaming of getting the latest phone, TV, fridge, furniture, laptop or gaming console? Own it with Fidelity Consumer Asset Finance. Dreaming of expanding your business? Make it a reality with our business loan. Fidelity Bank is offering flexible loans to businesses, salaried workers and the self-employed at a competitive rate. Dial 0800 003355 or visit any of our branches nationwide today to turn your dream into reality with a Fidelity Bank loan. Terms and conditions apply. Fidelity Bank. Believe with us.
Fidelity. If I believe with us, Fidelity. If I know I day aside, Fidelity.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah.
Welcome and now for a daily star 712 hash and found no regrets. A side investors are striking gold. A health workers are a diagnosing luck with precision. A side that tough guy who couldn't hold back his tears. Say a passionate fan also entering containing a joy. Afraid to the seamstresser or turning a hard-earned stitches into a bundle of happiness. And now, come on, if you say your next big win is right here.
Star 712 hash. Luck is everywhere.
Dial star
*712# and join the luckiest winning celebration. From the 1st of July 2024, dial *712# to keep buying tickets as a group, individual, or even as a community. Win loads of cash and prizes in the community draw or go for the grand draw on the 30th of November 2024. Unlock your luck with *712#. Join the winning streak now.
The luckiest.
*712#.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
You are not ready for this. Something big is cooking from Samsung. Ghana, are you ready for up to 30% off? From 26th August to 21st September, Samsung is going all out in the Samsung Blue Tag sales. You get a deal, he gets a deal, she gets a deal, everyone gets a deal. Because with big price slashes, we are letting you go big when you go blue. Everything with a blue tag gets a reduced price tag. From the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra all the way to the A05, nothing is off limits. Nothing. From 26th August to 21st September, the price is pricing at every Samsung shop nationwide. Go big, go blue. Terms and conditions apply.
You welcome to Business on Newsnight. Now, total value of loans granted by banks and savings and loans for the second quarter of this year with support from the collateral registry increased significantly to hit almost 11 billion Ghana cedis. This was captured in the collateral registry report issued by the Bank of Ghana. There is more in this report.
Data from the Bank of Ghana showed loans granted by these financial institutions based on assets registered with collateral registry went up by more than 80%. Bank of Ghana put the amount at almost 11 billion Ghana cedis for the second quarter of this year, compared to 5.9 billion cedis in the same period last year. Out of this amount, 9.1 billion came from the commercial banks, compared to 4.9 billion in 2023. On the other hand, special deposit institutions like savings and loans also gave out 1.7 billion cedis compared to 971 million granted last year. Another interesting development that emerged from this report is that a lot more took loan from the banks using their assets registered with the collateral registry, and they actually paid back on time. Also, the total number of assets registered with the collateral registry went up by more than 50% to 80,000. Private enterprises constituted the largest recipients of secured loans with a percentage share of almost 60%. It was followed by individuals with 15% share.
And that is a business desk report. Now, Bank of Ghana has maintained that it is committed to clamp down on activities of digital payment fraud. Speaking at MTN's Mobile Money at 15 Fintech Stakeholders Forum, Director of Fintech Innovation of the Bank of Ghana, Kwame Opon, says they will continue to cooperate with fintechs and other payment platforms to block fraud from being done by any sector in the economy.
There is, in fact, an avenue for such people to be barred on the network. In fact, there's a shared fraud platform that they already use, and they are barring phone number hardware that is actually used to facilitate fraud across the ecosystem, by the way. And this is why in my presentation I highlighted the need for collaboration. It is not enough to do this in a siloed basis.
Kwame Opon is head of fintech at the Bank of Ghana. Let's still stay in that sector because the central bank has noted that nomination of a next of kin is a critical requirement for account opening in the country. This is containing an update on requirement for account opening according to the regulator. There is more in this report.
The announcement by the Bank of Ghana is part of review of the Know Your Customer policy when it comes to account opening in the country. This is part of the Bank of Ghana's requirement that seeks more information for persons opening an account with a financial institution or when one is carrying out some financial transaction. The Bank of Ghana in the notice maintained for the purpose of account opening, this refers to an account holder's closest living relative who can be contacted in an event the account holder is not reachable. The central bank in the statement maintained that the account holder will be required to provide the name, address, and telephone number of the person nominated by next of kin. It also went ahead to add that this next of kin should be capable of providing relevant information about the depositor when the need arises, adding that this next of kin should be of legal age. The Bank of Ghana was, however, quick to add that the next of kin here in relation to account opening does not inherit or gain access to the account or funds of the account of the deceased. The Bank of Ghana went ahead to clarify that this next of kin here can have access to the account only if that person has been named in the deceased customers as well as beneficiary of the account, and a court of competent jurisdiction have also granted the letters to this next of kin.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, energy analyst Dr. Yusuf Suleiman has described the strong growth of indigenous oil marketing firm Star Oil as good for the industry. Latest industry data show the Star Oil has moved from among the players in the industry to be the number 2, ending June this year. Dr. Suleiman says that this shows that the price approach is working in the industry.
And that's going to be very interesting, especially if we have these 3 major ones. We have Shell, Total, and Goil. They've almost taken the market, and it got to a time we almost see similar figures coming up from these 3 fields. And the reason why they did it, why did Goil become the market leader now? Because they did that through price. Because and that's what a very interesting thing for the OMCs to look at. We have volumes and we have price. Sometimes you need to churn out more volumes and you can still make out the profit that you need. Just reduce the price. Once you are still within the profit margin, reduce the price a little bit, churn out more volumes, and you'll be in business. And I think that's what Star has done. And your report rightly mentioned that. See, consumers are becoming price sensitive, and that's very clear. And I see that as positive thing for the industry.
Energy analyst Dr. Yusuf Suleiman. And that's all for Business on News Now. Quite heavy on the Bank of Ghana.
Don't go looking for any flights and
please,
bye-bye.
I beg you.
George, you are there with the latest from the world of business. Let's do sports now. Musbao, what do we have?
Well, Emefa Civil Society Organization Forum for Accountable Governance has petitioned the Office of the Special Prosecutor to institute an extensive investigation into acts of alleged corruption surrounding the 13th African Games held in Accra. Now, the organization is, among other things, asking the Office of the Special Prosecutor to thoroughly examine the $245 million expenditure used in hosting and organizing the games held from March 4 to March 23. Here's the convener of the forum, Kwame Owusu-Danso.
Particularly because we suspect that there are some companies that are close to persons who are politically exposed, or the company that belongs to persons who are politically exposed. Also, we have noticed that there are some procurement breaches in the selection of the persons who were given, the jobs to organize first for the All African Games, and also in selecting the companies for the broadcasting of the event and the food and etc. So that is why we came today to invite the office to investigate into what went into the $245 million that was used for the purpose of organizing the All African Games.
So before we're waiting for the special prosecutor to commence investigation into this very matter that has generated some public conversation surrounding it. Well, Emefa, we'll keep tabs on this and bring you more update.
Okay, thank you very much, Musbao, for this. Well, let's take you to Parliament. And the Ministry of Finance has initiated moves to withdraw some 500 million cedis from Ghana's contingency fund to support government's effort to mitigate a potential food crisis. Well, we know that the Minister for Agric, Brian Champong, at a meet the press engagement on Monday, confirmed the destruction of thousands of farmlands due to the dry spell experienced in part of northern Ghana, with an estimated 22.2 billion cedi revenue loss. Well, the situation, according to the minister, could lead to food crisis if not addressed immediately. Well, today we've seen that letter that's been written from the Finance Ministry to Parliament Finance Committee to approve or give approval for this to happen. Well, James Aveji has details of that statement, joins us in studio with what exactly the Finance Ministry is asking for. What's the case they are making?
However, so they said, quote, given the assessed impact of the impending food security crisis in 5 northern regions and the affecting over 900,000 farmers and the threatening heightening the risk of extremism, they are urging the committee to urgently approve the 500 million Ghana cedis to undertake three key things: mop up stock from the farmers and urgent importation of grains, as well as cash transfers, as well as input support for the affected farmers. It is based on this they are urging the Finance Committee to in accordance with the Constitution as well as the Finance Act and the orders of Parliament to approve this urgently to undertake these activities.
And I want to bring in the Deputy Finance Minister who joins us on the line right now. And this letter has gone to the Finance Committee as we speak right now. We may have just lost him on the line there, still listening to News 90 on Joy 99.7 FM. Sibinama, do I still have you?
Yes, sir.
Great. You're talking about 500 million cedis that you are asking from the contingency fund, but from what we understand, the authorization you got from the president was for $500 million, some 8 billion cedis. Why are you getting the remainder of the money?
Thank you very much, and thank you for this opportunity. I beg you, I don't know whether it's allowed, but please, if my brother Sami Okujeto is listening to me, you should go and read Vienna Convention.
I'm sorry, I don't have time on this. If you can address that question for me very briefly, as in where you're getting the rest of the money from.
As of now, we are taking 1 billion from Ministry of Agri's budget, 200 million from Ghana Cares, and we are taking 500 from the contingency. And then I think it will try to give us something to mitigate on what is happening. And also roads, Ministry of Roads, we are taking 500 million for now at least, whilst we plan the rest. This is where we are. And I think the contingency fund, Article 1771, allows that. And even the Public Financial Management Act also, and then the Standing Order Section 227 all allows that. But we are working very fast to make sure that we curtail the situation or mitigate its impact to avoid any national security issues and food insecurity.
And do you have an indication from the committee when they will consider this, and if you get approval, considering where we are and the minority already raising concerns about what you really plan to use the money for?
Evans, if I say yes, I'll be a liar. And since I was appointed as Deputy Finance Minister, I had been moved from the Finance Committee. That's what happens. But I know that the urgency of the whole case and then the commitment of both minority and majority caucus in Parliament when it comes to national issues, I'm sure they wouldn't let it get to where we will probably have to trigger anything that we are not ready to. So I think as early as possible, I'll call it speed and accuracy. We'll try to cooperate and help everyone to get out of this situation.
Thank you very much, Stephen Amwa.
And it's time for our climate focus series. I'll take you to the Anglo community. They are grappling with the devastating impact of the tidal waves.
52-year-old Kennedy Atipo is an inland fisherman and a community leader in Anglo Beach. Like him, many of the elders in this town have their basic education in the Anglo Beach Methodist Primary School.
When it is time of game, the athletics, we do all here.
This school has been raised down by rising sea tides. The over 500 students have been moved into makeshift structures put up by the community members.
This school in which we are now, it is in the middle of the town. There is other houses up front there. Those houses in the sea now.
Like many coastal towns, Anglo Beach in the western region suffers from rising sea levels. The last high tide happened 4 months ago and carried with it many homes and key community structures, including the school. Robert Ansah has been teaching at the school for over 13 years.
When I came here 2010 and I started teaching, the school is in order. Every structure is there. We even have this caging there. But when we came here, the place is open, uncompleted.
Grace Senanu, a fishmonger, has 2 young boys, both of whom used to attend the Anglo Beach Methodist Primary School. She is thankful that the destruction of the school happened at night, but cannot hide her grief.
When I heard that the school had been destroyed, I was very sad because the school is where our children get the education that will assure a better future for them.
Christian Havon grew up in Anglo Beach. He attended the Methodist Primary School and his child is there now. His voice echoes the plea of the entire community.
This was not how our community used to be. The town is completely broken. The sea has swallowed a large portion of our community. We need the sea defense to be constructed.
Approximately 25% of Ghana's population lives in coastal areas. Between 2005 and 2017, rising sea levels claimed almost 37% of the nation's land area. Anglo Beach has only one ask: support to complete and refurbish their new school as they wait for the government to build a sea defense wall for them.
That's Mauto Koku Abuse report there for Climate Focus series. Climate Focus on Joy News is brought to you by Youth Bridge Foundation and Climate and Development Knowledge Network. Look out for the next in the series.
And tomorrow morning, we'll begin the final countdown to the Joy National Freedom Dialogue and Joy Media National Freedom Dialogue. And that's a very important one that we're all looking for. Defend media freedom is our theme for tomorrow. You really do not want to miss that, but join the hashtag Defend Media Freedom GH, and the conversation is from 4 p.m. It's going to be across our networks on Joy News and Joy 99.7 FM on our social media platform. You are hosting, by the way.
Yes, I look forward to that tomorrow.
You've been a victim of abuse before.
I'll tell my story.
Your job. Myself, I was with a hostel. So it's something that we're looking forward to.
Yeah, you can't miss it. And that's how we wrap up today's edition of Newsnight here on Joy 99.7
Are you really going to wrap up without
Strong
talking
and
to
sassy
me?
Up next.
Hello.
Enimado, where have you been?
Hello.
What's up? What are we talking about tonight?
So we're talking about like when you want to get married, do looks matter?
Oh,
like when
looks matter.
Like,
the person you're going to marry.
Yes, so the person when you're choosing.
Of course.
Wow.
You're making a decision who to marry. Oh, of course.
Looks.
Of course. It is the first thing that attracts you to an individual. Is the looks. Before you begin to assess anything else.
Are you sure?
Yes. It's the first thing. That's the first thing that attracts you.
I've heard so many men say that.
Looks.
Yes.
That's for men. Maybe that's
for everybody.
I've heard a lot of men, Evans. I've heard a lot of men say that the kind of woman that they'll date is not necessarily the kind of woman they'll marry. So when they are looking to marry, looks is not perhaps top of you. They're looking for someone who can be a good mother.
But that is the first thing that attracts you to a person first. Before you begin to have the conversation and realize that, oh my goodness, this is not what I'm looking for in terms of the substance behind.
So what if you were having a conversation with someone who was not so good looking, and then you found out that actually
often
they have
the person isn't good looking,
and the character is not
good.
Wow.
Hey.
Oh wow. You are less likely to begin a conversation.
Hey.
Wow.
That's interesting.
You learned something.
I didn't know that about you.
I'm
shocked.
So is that the criteria that you use to also talk to people at work?
Talk to people.
Yes.
He's not going to marry them. Why? Really?
He's always winking at my guests too. Anyway, Emefa, what about you?
I know. The guests. He knows all the guests.
Emefa, what about you?
I don't think looks matter.
So you would marry someone ugly?
Not ugly, but really. If the pocket is beautiful, if the pocket is good, he has a good bank account.
More likely or less likely to approach a man if the person is ugly?
No, really, it's not about
approach.
Wait, in the first
I don't approach.
People, the show is not for you. It's okay. You people can go. Thank you so
I don't
much.
Approach.
Thank you so much for being here.
Less likely or more likely?
I don't approach people. People approach me. So if the person approaches, there's confidence is there.
You know why they're approaching you?
Why?
I mean, forget about it.
Because of the looks. Are you serious?
Forget about the fact that you are big. Okay, all right, okay. Anyway, Strong and Sassy coming up. Stay tuned in.
Yeah, interesting.